Is the Strait of Hormuz Donald Trump's folly, or is it becoming his pressure point? The strait has become the focal point of the conflict between Iran, the United States, and Israel, but the first question is not military. It is economic. Who actually needs this waterway most, and what happens if Washington does not fully control it for a few months? The answer is uncomfortable because the United States is not the biggest direct customer of Hormuz oil. According to the IEA, in 2025, most crude moving through the strait was headed to Asia, with China and India alone taking 44% of those exports. Europe received only about 4% of the crude, and the U.S. imported only about 7% to 8% of its crude imports from Persian Gulf countries through the strait, according to EIA and AP reporting based on EIA data. That means a temporary failure to fully reopen the strait is not automatically an American economic catastrophe in the narrow supply sense. The United States would still feel the pain through global oil pricing, gasoline, inflation, shipping costs, and damage to allies, but the immediate physical dependency is much greater in Asia than in America. That is why this could look like Trump's folly. Washington helped create the crisis, but it does not have a clean way to impose order without taking on the costs of escorting shipping, protecting Gulf infrastructure, and possibly widening the war, all while the biggest direct beneficiaries of reopening the route are often other countries. But there is another reading. This could also become a trump card. If the administration's real goal is not permanent U.S. control, but forcing Europe and Asian importers to take more responsibility for securing the energy routes they depend on, then a period of pressure may serve Trump's burden-sharing logic rather than contradict it. And there is a third possibility: triumph. Not because America occupies the strait forever, but because Washington proves that Iran cannot turn a temporary chokehold into a lasting political order. If the U.S. and its partners reopen flows, push the burden outward, and deny Tehran a durable gatekeeper role, Trump can argue that he restructured the strategic map without owning the whole bill. So the real issue is not whether the United States controls every mile of the strait next week. The real issue is whether Iran can establish a recognized ability to decide who moves, who pays, and on what terms. If Washington fails for a short period, that is painful but manageable. If Washington allows a new normal in which Iran can throttle a global artery and the world adjusts around it, that is far more serious. In other words, America may care less about who gets the next few barrels, and much more about who ends up writing the rules of passage. That is the line between a temporary embarrassment, a strategic bargain, and a genuine defeat.